Hello.
Oh, why are you wet?
Is she piss?
No, it's not piss.
I don't want to touch
It's
it.
so wet.
Hi friends, and welcome to Wipes vs. World, where we have fun talking about queer stuff and life as a trans cis lesbian couple. I'm Jackie.
I'm Anya.
And today we are gonna talk about what it's like being both a trans and a lesb.
That's you. I feel like this is something that people get a little bit confused about sometimes, and they'll be like, "Why?" But if you you can see the math symbols on their face. Like, if you like women, why did you become a woman?
Yeah, what's that about?
What's that about?
It's also something that I've spoken to professionals about. So when I went to the gender clinic, back when it was Sexuality clinic in Denmark, they asked a bunch of intrusive questions, one of which was, so how about them men? I was like, yeah, how about them? There seemed to be like a whole kind of idea that, oh, well, so you want to transition. That must in part be because you like men in a sexual sort of way, right? Well, as someone who's like on a 5 on a Kinsey scale of liking women,
Out of how much?
out of 6, I think I'm at a solid 5.5. Men don't really figure into my sexual proclivities all that much, but there just seemed to be some profound confusion as to, like, all right, so if you don't like men, why would you become a woman? And therefore, I felt like this would be a really good video to address that, because you can also see in our comments from time to time people coming in and be like, so what, she transitioned just to be with a woman?
Why would you do that?
Why would you do that? And this kind of person doesn't seem to recognize the existence of the homosexual.
Just for the educational purposes.
The shits and giggles, yes?
Why don't we just explain? Maybe some people have not come across this concept before.
The homosexual.
That on one side we have your sexuality, that is who you love, and on the other side you have your gender identity, that is who are you while you love.
And then somewhere in the middle you have gender expression, which is how do you express said gender
While you love.
while you love and are. And that's where you get into stuff like presenting more femme, presenting more butch, being more androgynous, stuff like how do you express this whole gender. So you can be, for example, a very masculine, manly man, gay person, or you can be a very, very feminine lesbian person, or you can be a straight person who you could be a straight person.
I don't know what you do here, but you could be.
You could be here. Stop that. So, but you could be a cis hetero person who just really wants to express yourself in a way that's, to some, not very congruent with your gender identity. So there's a whole sort of thing here, and you can find so many good videos. We're going to link to 1 or 2 down in the description. So, me. POV, you're me. You are 12 years old and you're struggling with your gender identity.
I am?
Yes.
Oh no!
Oh no, it's the worst. That's my reaction right there when I was 12. You struggle for a few years, you realize, oh no, some things are changing that I don't want them to, and some other things are not changing, and what's happening. And what I was experiencing was that I felt an asymmetry between my gender identity and my gender expression. At the ripe old age of 17, I sort of started transitioning. But what didn't follow was I did not align with a heterosexual expectation. Apparently, if you're a woman, you're expected to like men. I didn't.
You don't particularly like men.
I do. No.
We're being
bad.
very silly.
Yeah, we're being extremely silly.
Yes.
I love men. And insert the share clip again and everything.
Thank you. Yes.
So good. I've always been a little bit bi, as it were, but I'm mostly attracted to women. And it's not that I'm attracted to femininity per se. I mean, look at you.
I'm not sure that I count as not femininity, unfortunately.
Unfortunately, I like twinks apparently.
So do I.
Wow. There's a fundamental difference between who you are and who you love. And for people who are not necessarily versed in this sort of thing, or who do believe that, oh well, but trans women are kind of, maybe they're just gay men. For them, of course, it would be reasonable to expect you're doing this to attract the attention of men. And that was also like the experience, or at least the prevailing notion when I was coming out and starting this whole journey.
Yeah, it's also kind of like an older notion, right? From back when homosexuality was illegal. There were some people who got about it by like dabbling with their gender identity.
So maybe that's something you could do to assimilate. But for me, that was not my experience. I did not fancy men. I did not want to be with men. So my whole thing was not about making myself more palatable to men. It was more about making myself more palatable to me. But at the same time, I feel like as I've gotten older, as we've seen the world change, what's really the distribution in like T for T or T for cis or what have you. And it turns out a lot of our viewers are in a T for T relationship. And I think we kind of talked about how, well, maybe that's the case. It wasn't the expectation when I was coming out. It was more of a thing of like, who would want to be with a trans person? And why would you as a trans person be with a trans person? That's really like, yikes. But as it turns out, you find someone who has something in common with you. You find someone who has similar vibes and maybe political inclinations and a view on life. And that's actually something that works pretty well.
I feel like when you hear about trans stories, you know, the celebrities who are trans, who get heralded for being trans, who are like put on a pedestal, like these tend to be straight people. Society wants trans people to be straight. It is easier for them to understand it if they're straight.
But I guess that goes back to the whole thing about like being straight in our society is just more easily digestible.
Yeah, exactly. So if you're a trans woman who is like super femme, is conventionally attractive, is with a man, people are like, okay, I understand this concept. I can put this in the woman box because this is what other women are like. But if you're a slightly less gender conforming trans woman who likes women, people, their little minds get boggled, you know? You should tell about that experience you had in Japan when they learned.
All right, so we were at a bar in Shinjuku Nichome, which is like a gay district. This bar was, I'm guessing, very straight in its vibe. At least the owner was. So we were sitting with some classmates having a good time, just, you know, drinking some beer, thinking about should we head on to like a drag show, what should we do? And then this very friendly owner comes up and he's like, so what's your deal? And I answered best as I could. And, you know, he was a bit drunk. I was a bit drunk. It was fun. And then he was like, so what are you looking for? And I was like, oh, we're just going to like Nichome to have some fun. He's like, why would you go there? Are you like, you know, they're gay, right? He's like, oh, that's okay. I have a wife. And he's like, what? Yeah, I am a lesbian. I have a girlfriend. And he was like, but why? I was like, but what do you mean, but why? Because I love her. And he was like, but why not someone like me? Because I'm a lesbian. And he was like, but I've got a huge and I was like, well, I'm...
Convincing argument, good sir. What a forward young man.
What a forward young man. He was like 20 years older than me.
Yeah, exactly.
I was like, what was I? I was 23 at the time. It was wonderful. It was a lot, you know, just being... at that time, I had long, beautiful hair, and I was making more of an effort to, like, you know, fit more in with society, whereas now I've just abandoned it all, and I tattoo and I wear dark clothes and everything. But back then, I was maybe making a bit of an effort to, you know, not stand out as much. And when I just mentioned, I actually prefer women, it became like a whole but why? Like, and I don't know what to tell you. That was such a weird, eye-opening experience. I was like, oh.
Some people just don't understand.
They don't understand, and they feel like they're entitled to an opinion. Like, at the end of the day, that opened my eyes to something that I also felt would be really good to touch on in this video, which was the whole notion of like, so if you're trans and if you're lesbian, society is gonna view you maybe as less of a legitimate trans person, because
exactly.
to want to be the other gender is also to somehow want to conform to the other gender's expectations.
And also the other way around. Now, we just mostly talk about trans women because that's what we know.
Yeah, exactly.
But if you're trans and you're gay, like, society will be less understanding, society might be less kind. It's hard enough to be understood as a trans person in the first place, but then to also dare to be gay.
Exactly. So if you want to make this radical switch and change in your life, then you're somewhat expected to also want to conform in every other way. I feel like nowadays there's a lot more understanding. Many people love who they love, but I could definitely understand someone who would maybe delay or postpone or not at all go through with the transition because they're thinking, I don't feel those feelings towards another gender that I'm supposed to be feeling, you know?
If I think it can be more difficult to realize that you are trans if your sexuality is complicated in the first place, and that can definitely delay the process and make it harder because you're already like, but I present as a normal straight person, like I might as well just stay this way, you know. How can that be me?
Yeah,
if I do that,
I couldn't transition
like
because I don't like women, or I don't
exactly.
like men, or
Yeah.
whatever, you know.
It'll get more confusing.
And also, if you are to transition in such a relationship, what is that going to mean for the relationship? Like, does that mean, is your partner now gay, or are they still straight but they see you as a woman but maybe they don't? Or like, there are so many complicated things, and I feel like a lot of our viewers, a lot of partners, a lot of trans partners and cis partners are commenting with their own versions of this thing.
It's so beautiful to me.
It really is.
Like, that's also why I despise gatekeeping. I should talk about this.
I could never.
Because gender and sexuality is so complex, and people will have complex definitions of their own understanding of it, and they always will have and always had during history, especially in relation to how society is constructed and defined. And I just find that so interesting, and I feel like the most important thing we can do is listen to other people's experiences. Also, we are here to say that you don't have to be straight to be a trans person.
No.
You can be gay like us. The straights will call you straight with a few extra steps.
Oh yeah, that's another thing. Oh my fucking God. So it's like, first and foremost, we were never straight. We were in a straight passing relationship, but both of us were a bit, you know. And then again, who cares? I mean, these people will not recognize any kind of like trans notion in their lives. So
exactly.
Like, let's not talk to them. It doesn't even matter. It's like shouting at a wall.
So
I had a point.
Okay. Do you want to say it?
Yes, I just needed time to So my point was, we have a lot of people writing in the comments. We have a lot of, as I said, partners of trans people who, for, you know, either it was like, well, we're making it work and it's for us, we just love who we love. And we also get, you know, the other way around. People come in and like, well, I love who I love, and I am unfortunately not a queer person, so it didn't work out. And then next obvious question would be, so who's in the right, who's in the wrong? And the thing is, there's not really any right or wrong here, you know? You have the autonomy, or should have the autonomy, to make decisions about your own gender presentation and how you express your gender identity. But every partner in a relationship should also have a say in, like, is this something I want to be in? And all that to say, you might be in a situation where you are intensely afraid of your partner leaving you, because if you transition and your attractions don't change, or you don't feel an inclination towards going like, oh, well, maybe I'm still straight just now in the other direction. Like if you're still into the partner you already had in a, let's say, straight passing relationship, you could be very afraid that you're gonna lose that. And that's another thing I feel like, if you're a trans lesbian and you have been in the same relationship during your transition, I can almost guarantee you a lot of people will have had the thought, is that gonna mean that this is over for us? You know? I knew I felt that, and I was really afraid of that. And that's like, I postponed coming out for like at least a couple of months, for like at least half a year while you were in Japan.
If you had been with a man,
yes, before I came out as trans,
yes,
yeah, I guess I then too would have been afraid of like, so if I transition and start presenting as the woman I've always been, would my gay male partner lose his attraction towards me? You know?
Yeah.
Same kind of thing. And sometimes you find out that, you know, sexuality can be fluid, or at least I really just love this person.
Yeah.
And then it doesn't really matter, or maybe that makes me reflect and think, maybe I am actually maybe bi, you know?
Yeah.
I have a really good comic recommendation.
The point is,
If
you are a person, oh my God. If you're a trans person, we support you no matter what your sexuality is. And you are okay no matter what your sexuality is. And your sexuality doesn't necessarily inform your gender identity or
the other way
expression.
around. That's the point. So if you are a trans woman or trans feminine, or if you're a trans man or trans masc, and you find yourself, you know, being attracted to people of likewise gender, like if you're gay, if you're trans and you're gay, can you sound off in the comments and let us know what your experiences are with this? Because I feel like, especially for newcomers who come to our videos, it can be immensely helpful for them both to like listen to whatever we're yapping about, but also to go in the comments and see all the lovely stuff you guys write there. I've seen so many interactions of you guys helping people who come to this channel, and I just really want to say thank you for that, and keep up the good work.
Heartening.
It really is.
It's really lovely to, like, you all have so many interesting experiences, and they really matter. It really matters that you share them, because so many people come and feel heard and seen, because our situation obviously doesn't reflect all trans cis couples out there. So it's really valuable that other people also share their experiences. And so many have been like, this is me, I feel like this too, and this is my relationship, to comments under our videos. And that is beautiful. So please keep doing that. That will make us and very many other people very happy.
All right, what else? Get a Tattoo by Me, buy Anya's book. We hope you had fun, and if you did, you can subscribe for more.
It's true.
Sometimes we take a while between uploads. We try to upload twice a month. But if we don't, you can find us all across the internet. You can find us on various social media. You can find us on the place where only friends go. And yeah, we love you very much.
We hope to see you next time.
Bye. We have intense feelings and thoughts, and they are not always concurrent with each other.
Okay.
You know, we can't all be an android. A beep, boop, beep,
Beep, boop, beep, boop, processing data.
It's like shouting at a wall. So let's become walls. No trans wall. So they can shout at, you know, and because it doesn't matter. Let's make a barrier, a wall. I don't know. A wall? Maybe I keep coming back to this wall. Maybe it's a good idea.
I love you. I have found you heavy.
Heavy?
What is the opposite of wanting? I have found you enough.